Welcome to Belated Tech Musings. In this short, we have assembled SpaceX CEO Elon Musk's key comments regarding his company, SpaceX spacecraft, stifled innovation among SpaceX competitors, NASA, spaceflight in general, and expeditions to the moon and other areas of the solar system. This video breaks down into segments for each year SpaceX has launched rockets, from 2006 to 2019. Each segment starts with a Musk soundbite, and then shows all the SpaceX launches for that year. The video starts with Musk talking about the very first flight of a Falcon 1 rocket. Let's get started.
The government on net gained quite a bit because this was a privately funded development, and we got a lot of data from the first flight, even though it didn't get all the way to orbit. Payment for this launch was $8 million, but it's part of a. My investment into the overall development program has been closer to $100 million. The launch cost is about $7 million. There's about $1 million worth of extras that they bought, and I think they're actually reasonably happy because this launch was about proving out our rocket. We'll be launching in probably about 6 months' time. None of our customers have tried to walk away. We've got several contracts approaching $200 million. We will be looking for partners later this year, but if need be, I'm prepared to fund this all the way until SpaceX is the world's top launch company. Absolutely.
You have said that we got lost along the way with our space program. What did you mean by that?
Well, what I mean by that is, in 1969, we were able to go to the moon. And here we are over 3 decades later, and we can barely get to low Earth orbit. And I think, by any measure, that is a step backwards.
How can you explore space better than NASA?
There's a confusion in the public mind that perhaps a company like SpaceX is competing with NASA, but in fact, NASA is a customer of ours. So we're actually providing services to NASA, launch services. And when the shuttle retires in 2010, so starting in 2011, SpaceX's rocket will replace the space shuttle in servicing the space station with astronauts and cargo transportation. The reason I started SpaceX was because the constant reliability of getting to orbit and beyond is not really improved since the 60s. In fact, it's gotten worse. If you were to extrapolate to the future, you would basically be able to afford no launches at some point. So I started SpaceX to really reverse that trend and make it affordable to get to orbit and beyond. So with Falcon 1, the first stage is intended to be reusable. With Falcon 9, both stages are intended to be reusable. Now, it's going to take us many launches to figure that out and get the stages back safely and optimize the refurbishment for flight and make sure they're reliable and all The Falcon 1 development has really been winding down now for the past several months, and essentially is almost complete at this point. So the development focus for about the past year has been more on the Falcon 5, which is our medium lift vehicle.
We made a bet. You believe that you would put a man on the moon by 20.
Not on the moon.
Oh, I'm sorry, on Mars.
Yeah.
By
2020, maybe?
I think it was 2020 or 2025.
Okay.
You gonna make it?
We'll try.
Well, I think the reality is that SpaceX is sort of the only is the only threat to the incumbent big aerospace companies that they've seen in their careers ever. You'd have to go back to kind of the early days of airplanes or something, to when Lockheed and Boeing were first getting formed to really say, okay, that's when they had a serious threat. Because it's been this sort of cozy oligopoly for quite a long time. Or in the launch business, there was a duopoly, with Boeing had their launch vehicles and Lockheed had their. It's really just a situation of that they're attacking the only threat that they've ever seen.
So some of the things you guys have developed here would be the Falcon rocket and the Dragon spacecraft. How are these different and better than what we had before?
Compared to the shuttle had a per-flight cost of about $1 billion. The Falcon 9 Dragon system is about an eighth the cost, it's maybe $120, $130 million. We need to get to something like that for rocketry. But we've got something that works, the math works, simulation works, but this is an incredibly difficult thing, so we're not saying definitively we will achieve it, but we are saying definitively we'll attempt it and that we think we've got something that'll work. SpaceX could be able to take people to Mars as soon as 10 years.
10 years.
Wow. I mean, that's kind of a best case scenario, but I'd say worst case scenario would be 20 years. The biggest challenges recently to getting ready for launch have been all the tests and verification. There's so much intelligence on board Dragon and so much new avionics and other hardware. We've got a whole docking system that had to be verified, and we had to make sure that it could communicate effectively with the space station. So just doing all of that testing and then working with NASA to verify that those tests, that's really what we spent the last few months doing.
And I've seen some. Y'all are doing like these vertical landings.
Yeah.
Like literally out of like the 1950s like sci-fi movies.
Yep.
And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, the rocket needs to come back and land at the launch site, and then reload propellant, take off again, like an airplane.
And how far do you think we are
from
that? Like when do you think, like, your best guess when we'll actually see that happening?
I'm hopeful we can do it next year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's we got some ambitious stuff at Khan Academy for the next year too, so we can.
Boeing's a fine company, of course. What we're trying to do with Dragon 2 is, or the new crew Dragon design, is be able to land propulsively with precision, which I think is kind of the next generation. Like if you consider the first generation was parachutes to a water landing, then arguably sort of wings and gear, landing legs, landing gear, then like the sort of third generation is propulsive landing with precision.
Perhaps you want to discuss a little bit about the recent loss of the Dragon and the Falcon 9 here on SpaceX 7.
Everyone that can engaged in the investigation at SpaceX is very, very focused on that. Really clear is that there was some kind of overpressure event in the upper stage liquid oxygen tank. But the exact cause and the sequence of events, there's still no clear theory that fits with all the data.
If the objective was to achieve the best risk-adjusted return, starting a rocket company is insane. But that was not my objective. I'd simply come to the conclusion that if something didn't happen to improve rocket technology, we would be stuck on Earth forever. And the big aerospace companies had just had no interest in radical innovation. All they wanted to do was try to make their old technology slightly better every year, and in fact, sometimes it would actually get worse. And particularly in rockets, it's pretty bad. Like in '69, we were able to go to the moon with a Saturn V, and then the space shuttle could only take people to low Earth orbit, and then the space shuttle retired. I mean, that trend is basically trends to zero.
For the first time, you've actually reflown one of the rockets that landed. So
we landed the rocket booster and then prepped it for flight again and flew it again. So it's the first reflight of an orbital booster where that reflight is relevant. So it's important to appreciate that reusability is only relevant if it is rapid and complete.
Right.
So like an aircraft or a car, the reusability is rapid and complete. You do not send your aircraft to Boeing in between flights.
Right.
Well, first of all, I should say I'm a big fan of NASA. In fact, at one point, my password was "I love NASA." Literally, that was my password. NASA does a lot of good things for which it doesn't get enough credit, and that the public, I guess, doesn't know that much about. Like most members of the public, they're not really into hard science. It's like it's not the thing they're tuning in for most of the time. I love hard science, but it's not that popular. So, but there's great things in terms of the telescopes like the Hubble and the James Webb and the rovers on Mars, and
approach to the outer solar system. Those are all like really great things. But to get the public excited, you got to get people in the picture. It's just 100 times different if there are people in the picture.
There are many troubles in the world, of course, and these are important, and we need to solve them. But we also need things that make us excited to be alive, that make us glad to wake up in the morning and be fired up about the future and think, yeah, the future is going to be great. You know, and this space exploration is one of those things. And becoming a spacefaring civilization, being out there among the stars, this is one of the things that I know makes me glad to be alive. I think it makes many people glad to be alive. It's one of the best things. And this really, we're faced with a choice. Which future do you want? Do you want the future where we become a spacefaring civilization and are in many worlds and are out there among the stars, or one where we are forever confined to Earth? And I say it is the first. And I hope you agree with me. Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this short concerning SpaceX, Elon Musk, and space exploration. If so, click that like button. Also be sure to click the subscribe button and the bell notification icon to make sure that you receive notifications of new shorts and episodes. Links to other videos on this channel can be found below. Save the link to our Instagram account so you can get early updates to our channel. And if you wish to support the channel in an extra way, click on our link to our Patreon channel. Thanks for watching.